Alright, here we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of 4th and 25 with your host, Jrams. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday out there. I hope you stay cool. Looks like summer has officially arrived and has hit us in the face with the heat and humidity we are all so accustomed to down here. But hope you stay hydrated, stay safe out there. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So we got a lot to jump into today. This is going to be a big episode. We got a lot to talk about. So first things first, I added this at the last minute because I had kind of been following it. All right, so this week in Asheville, North Carolina, there was 2 days of meetings over you guessed it, the college football playoff. And, well, here's what we've come out of those 2 days. Basically nothing. All options are still on the table. So, just to kind of run through, from Heather Dinich of ESPN, leaders of the CFP are still mulling over what the format should be like for 2026 and beyond. After 2 days of meetings, that's what Rich Clark, the CFP executive director, said. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to press that again. But pretty much everything is on the table, and they're taking a good look at all of it. So I wouldn't say there's a leading contender right now, but there's a fresh look at it. So basically, they still don't know. They don't know if you're going to keep the 12-team format you got. Are we going to go to 14? We're going to go to 16? Are we doing the 5+11? Are we doing the 4-4-2-2-1-1 model or the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model? We have no idea. Last month at SEC spring meetings in Destin, there was new support for the coaches over 16 model. But that also shocked the Big Ten. The Big Ten wants AQs. I don't understand why the Big 12 wants the 5-11 model, because if you go to a 5-11 model, their champion's going to get in, and that's probably it. 5-11 model is going to benefit the SEC and the Big Ten probably way more than the rest of them. The Big Ten has indicated they would not even consider the 5-11 model unless the SEC and the ACC go to 9 conference game schedules. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. So pretty much we have no clue. There's still nothing. The hope is to have something figured out by the fall, but these guys are all looking out for the best of their league. They're not looking out for the best of the sports. So I wouldn't get my hopes up too much, but that's just me, man. Anyway, so that's your latest CFP update. Nothing new going on, of course. So hopefully one of these days we'll know what the future of the sports postseason is going to look like, but we'll see. We'll see. That's all we can do. Okay, so let's get started on our biggest subject today. Last week we broke down some of the top 9 conference games to watch in the country for this coming fall. So I decided for today we're going to do conference games, but we're going to break this into a couple of shows. For today, it's about the G5. If you're a G5 football guy, you might like this. G5 has always been fun to me. I've always enjoyed G5 football. Whether it's Conference USA, the Sun Belt, MAC, Mountain West, or the American. All right, so to start us off, we're going to jump in to the most diversified, changed up conference of them all, and this is their final year of the 12 teams they have. They'll be losing a member after this season, but anyway, getting started with Conference USA this coming fall. This is what I broke down who are the favorites, who have the best returning production, who might have got some good additions to the portal, recruiting, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you ask, okay, what are the Conference USA games to watch this fall? So, ironically, they have a conference game on week 0, August 23rd, which this will be a good one in the conference race. Sam Houston's at Western Kentucky on week 0. That'll be a nice little appetizer. September 6th, this will be a good one. Liberty's at Jacksonville State. Now Jacksonville State, of course, lost Rich Rod. He took off to West Virginia. But that should be an interesting game in the conference race. couple weeks later, September 20th, we've got Delaware going to FIU. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a big game, but shout out to Delaware. This is their very first Conference USA game because they are joining Conference USA this season. As is the next team I'm about to talk about. September 27th, they host Western Kentucky, Missouri State. So Delaware and Missouri State both play their first official conference games here at September 20th and September 27th, respectively. Okay, moving forward a little bit. October 8th, we've got Liberty at UTEP. Liberty's probably going to be the preseason favorite in this league, but UTEP seems to slowly be getting better under their coach. That's midweek. I think that's a midweek game. Okay, very next day, October 9th, we got Jacksonville State at Sam Houston. That could be a good one. A couple weeks later, Western Kentucky visiting La Tech on October 21st. That'll be interesting. La Tech is a team I think we should all keep an eye on in this conference. I think they could take a big step forward. It's okay, babe. I hear the puppy. It's okay. We love Laney. Ain't no big deal. Ain't no big deal. Okay. October 28th, UTEP at Kennesaw State. November 8th, we got Jacksonville State at UTEP. We got FIU at Middle Tennessee. Not saying those games are going to be big in the conference race, but they could be big as far as bowl positioning or bowl eligibility. November 15th, Liberty's at FIU, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. November 22nd, excuse me, could be an interesting day. We've got Liberty at Western Kentucky, Sam Houston's at Middle Tennessee, and then New Mexico State and UTEP. I know a lot of people are going to care about that game, but they play for a shovel. I think it's called the Battle of I-75. Pretty cool little trophy if you haven't ever seen it before. All right, and then finally, November 29th, we've got Western Kentucky at Jacksonville State. That'll be a good one in the conference race. Like I said, I think Liberty's the favorite in the league, but who knows? We'll see. Okay, so that's Conference USA. Now we're going to jump in over to our friends at the Mid-American Conference. If you don't like action midweek football in November, come on. It's something to watch. Okay, so the MAC, this is a league that gets gutted every year. They get gutted by the portal now, sadly. So it's really hard to break these teams down like you used to could. But I kind of just jumped in and looked at who are the favorites, who does have the most returning production. This will be probably a little bit top-heavy league, but then you got really bad teams at the bottom, like, of course, poor Kent State. Okay, so in the MAC, here's some games I made note of. September 20th, Toledo at Western Michigan. Western Michigan's probably just trying to get to another bowl game, but hey, Toledo struggles at that place if you look at past games. Okay, September 27th, you got Bowling Green at Ohio. That'll be a good one. I think that's two contenders, despite the coaching changes. We'll see what Eddie George does at Bowling Green. I think that's going to be an interesting program coach combination. So Bowling Green at Ohio. You got Eastern Michigan headed to Central Michigan, more of the in-state rivalries. October 4th, Miami, Ohio is at Northern Illinois. That could be a good one. The very next week, we've got the rivalry game with Toledo at Bowling Green. That's going to be good. I think that's two teams to keep an eye on. Now, of course, Bowling Green, like I said, coaching change. They lost their best running back. He went to Virginia Tech. But rivalry game. We'll see what happens. Northern Illinois is at Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan, I think, is going to be a sleeper team to watch, too. October 18th, we got Central Michigan at Bowling Green. We got Northern Illinois at Ohio. That's a couple of games to make note of. October 25th, we've got... sorry, guys, I'm not looking at the comments. Let's go. Hey, Andrew. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Western Michigan and Miami, Ohio on the 25th. Then November 1st, when we start getting towards action season with the midweek games, November 1st, we got Buffalo headed to Bowling Green. That's a good game between two. I think Buffalo's seriously a good team. They surprised a lot of us last year with the 9-win campaign and the bowl win. Jrams. Appreciate it. We got the another Michigan rivalry game, Central Michigan and Western Michigan. That is on that day also. November 4th. Sorry, I keep these things up well. I'm sure y'all probably don't want to see my ugly face. November 4th, we got Miami, Ohio headed to Ohio. November 5th, Northern Illinois, Toledo, one of my favorite series in this conference every year. November 11th, Ohio at Western Michigan. November 12th, conference title game possibly preview, Toledo at Miami, Ohio. November 19th, we got Miami, Ohio at Buffalo. That's a good one. And then finally, the last one I made note of, November 28th, Ohio is at Buffalo. Could be your conference title game. Who knows? My money's on Buffalo and Toledo right now in that league, but it's kind of early, so we'll see. So that's the Mid-American Conference. All right, so we are going to jump ship to a conference that is in the final season of its current format, and then it's going to go a drastic change during next off season. Let's take a look at the final season of conference games in this configuration of the Mountain West. To be honest with you, I think unless something changes, this is going to be a two-horse race. I think there's two programs this season in this conference that have really set themselves apart from the rest of the league for this season. And of course, one of those teams is on the way out. The Mountain West. All right, so September 20th, Fresno State's at Hawaii. I think Hawaii's going to be better. Fresno State should be good. I think they'll be still solid despite some losses. I like their new coach. Boise State is at Air Force. Always a good. Always seems to be usually a pretty good series in that conference. September 27th, Hawaii's at Air Force. Early elimination game. October 3rd, you got Colorado State headed to San Diego State. October 4th, UNLV at Wyoming. The reason I make note of this game, for any of you who watch this league or these teams, Wyoming has the highest elevation in FBS. That stadium, for some reason, gives that place, that atmosphere, gives teams trouble. Just ask Texas Tech. They lost there not too long ago. Ole Miss has lost there. UNLV could be going in there with a big head and not thinking, and could get caught looking ahead to their game the following week, which we'll get to in a minute. So we'll see. I don't really know what to think of Wyoming right now, but UNLV, be careful out there. October 10th, a Friday night game, Fresno State at Colorado State. October 11th, we've got Air Force at UNLV. Good game. San Jose State's at Wyoming. Be careful, San Jose. Okay, October 18th. I'm going to put this logo back up just for a minute in case anybody wonders what I'm yapping about. October 18th, UNLV at Boise State. I'll go ahead and say it. Like I said, I think these are the two best teams in this league preseason-wise. I'd be shocked if someone else wins this league. They play at Boise. Could see them twice. The two heavyweights on the blue turf, could see them the next week. So UNLV, Boise State, that's definitely your conference. Until further notice, that is your conference game of the season in this league. Okay, October 25th, San Diego State at Fresno State. I made note of this one, Colorado State, Wyoming. These two play for a bronze golden boot looking trophy, really cool trophy. Their rivalry goes back years. This is, as far as I know, the last time these two will play until further notice, because as y'all know, Colorado State is moving to the Pac-12 with some of these other Mountain West schools that we've talked about. So, hate to see this rivalry trophy go away. That's really sad. Very sad. So, could be the last time. Okay, November 1st, we got Fresno State at Boise State. Two soon-to-be Pac-12 members, but their final year as Mountain West members. For those of you who grew up in the 90s like I did, Boise and Fresno was always fun to watch every year in the WAC. So much fun. And then in the Mountain West too. But so Fresno State, Boise State, that should be cool to watch. November 8th, we've got Air Force at San Jose State. Keep an eye on San Jose because I think they're a sleeper in this conference. You got UNLV at Colorado State. You got San Diego State at Hawaii. So that's a pretty good day for that conference. November 22nd, San Jose State at San Diego State. Could be the last time they played because San Diego State headed to the Pac-12. November 28th, Air Force Colorado State, the Ram Falcon Trophy. Another trophy. Could we be about to lose it because of the realignment? And then finally, November 29th, we got Fresno State at San Jose State, and then UNLV at Nevada. The only reason I made note of that game, it's a rivalry game. Every year it seems to get hostile and violent between these two Nevada schools. If y'all haven't seen it, look up the fight a few years ago with this game. They play for a cannon too. Really cool trophy. All right, guys. So next up, we are going to head to a conference that is a lot of fun to watch and maybe my favorite G5 league. The good old Sun Belt Conference, or as we like to call it, some people call it the Fun Belt. This league has produced some good teams lately. They've lost some good players over the years now to the portal, but they seem to reload. This league is so much fun, and I think you got a lot of teams who are contenders in this league. Can't wait to get to preseason predictions before too long. But this is a very wide open league, and I'm very excited for it. First game I made note of, these are two teams, especially the home team, but these are two teams I think you, of course, have got to keep an eye on, especially the home team. Coastal Carolina is at South Alabama, September 20th. I think that's going to be good. The following week, the 27th, Georgia Southern goes to James Madison. You've got Marshall at Louisiana Lafayette, the rematch of the conference championship game last year. Now, of course, Marshall, yeah, they got gutted. The portal gutted them, cost them a bowl trip. Don't even get me started on that. They lost their head coach, so they returned very little production. But we'll see. But anyway, conference title game rematch. So that's two games that day. The following week, October 4th, we've got Texas State going to Arkansas State. I think Arkansas State's another one to keep your eye on. South Alabama's at Troy, the battle for the belt. A pretty cool little in-state G5 feud. So two good games that day. October 11th, we've got Louisiana Lafayette at James Madison. Could be a conference title game preview. Don't know. Of course. October 14th, Arkansas State goes to South Alabama. October 18th, I think that Arkansas State South Alabama game is like a Tuesday night game, I think. Okay, October 18th, Coastal Carolina, App State. If you've watched these two over the years, they've got some good games since they've been in the Sun Belt, and I think they go back I think they go back further than that. But anyway, Coastal Carolina, App State, Texas State's at Marshall, so a couple games to make note of that day. October 25th, we've got Georgia Southern at Arkansas State. You got UL Lafayette at Troy. And then October 28th, and this is a Tuesday night game too, as part of their October television package. October 28th, James Madison at Texas State down in San Marcos. Another one. This could be your conference championship game possible preview. Of course, there's rumors going around with Texas State maybe leaving for the Pac-12. We'll keep an eye on that. But anyway, that might be your conference game of the year. Who knows? James Madison at Texas State, October 28th. November 1st, we've got UL Lafayette going to South Alabama. We've got Arkansas State going to Troy. October 30th, you've got Marshall headed to Coastal Carolina. You've got November 6th, you got Georgia Southern and App State. If you've watched Georgia Southern and App State for years like I have, it goes back to the FCS days. Them two have always seemed to have some good games. November 8th, you got Texas State at UL Lafayette. November 15th, Coastal Carolina at Georgia Southern, App State at James Madison. November 20th, you got UL Lafayette at Arkansas State. And then finally, I made note of, November 22nd, you got Marshall at App State. My apologies, guys. And then finally, November 29th is going to be a busy day for this conference. You've got Arkansas State at App State, James Madison's at Coastal, South Alabama at Texas State, Georgia Southern at Marshall, and then ULM, La Monroe at La Lafayette. Monroe was 5-7 last year, but started 5-1. Just had a really bad collapse there toward the end. They lost their star running back, Jenny. He went to Missouri. But man, that is a busy day. That is 5 big games in the Sun Belt to close out the season. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see what happens with that league. All right, guys. All right, our final G5 league, of course, the AAC, the American Athletic Conference. This one was actually a little tougher for me, but I kind of, like I say, I broke down who were being looked at as favorites and stuff. So I made note of several games like I did the rest of them. So let's take a look at the American Athletic Conference, shall we? All right. So September 25th. This is a Thursday night game, I believe. Army's at East Carolina. I think East Carolina is going to be a team to keep an eye on too in this conference. September 27th, you've got Rice at Navy. Not sure what Rice is fully going to be, but I know they've given Navy trouble recently. Okay, October 9th, East Carolina at Toledo. I mean, not Toledo. I'm sorry, guys. East Carolina at Tulane. My apologies. October 10th, we've got South Florida's at North Texas. North Texas, another team to keep you an eye on. October 18th, Memphis at UAB, UTSA at North Texas. Memphis and UAB used to go back years ago. They used to play for, I think they called it Bag of Bones or something like that. But could be a game Memphis shouldn't overlook, because the following week, October 25th, South Florida comes to Memphis. That's going to be two of the better teams. That's two of your heavyweights this coming season, I think, in the conference. Memphis, I think, is until further notice. But South Florida seems to be getting better, and they had a really good close last season with the bowl win. Okay. October 30th, we've got Tulane at UTSA. That'll be a big one. October 31st, Memphis is at Rice. Memphis, be careful. Okay. So, November 6th, UTSA is at South Florida. That's going to be a good one, I think. November 7th, Tulane at Memphis. Probably the 1 and 2 on the preseason in that conference predictions, maybe by most. They played on Thanksgiving last year. This year, for some reason, they're playing on November 7th. But oh well. So Tulane at Memphis. November 15th, we got Memphis at East Carolina. We got South Florida at Navy. That's just going to be two, I think, very crucial games down the home stretch. November 22nd. I hope I got that right. East Carolina's at UTSA. I couldn't read my own handwriting. I'm sorry. East Carolina at UTSA. That's going to be a very crucial one, I think, too. And then finally, November 27th, Thanksgiving, Navy and Memphis. I didn't think I'd ever see a college football Thanksgiving with Navy and Memphis, but I'm not complaining. I ain't going to turn down watching Navy, especially. So anyway, Navy at Memphis, that ought to be a crucial one. And then finally, this game is either going to be the 28th or 29th. I don't think they've actually set this one yet, but Army is at UTSA. So, all right, guys, that is a rundown of the American. So, appreciate y'all. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to jump into 5 teams' schedules to take a look at for this fall and do a breakdown. Be right back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to 4th and 25. All right, so we did our G5 conference games. We gave an update on the CFP talks. Like I said, shocker, they've made no progress. I'm sorry, but I'm going to give them crap until we know what this new playoff's going to look like. But anyway, all right, guys, so next up, as we did last week, we looked at 5 teams' schedules for the coming season, and we did one per conference of the Power 4, and then we did a G5 league. I'm bad about luck at this camera. Okay, so for our first schedule, let's take a look at a G5 team that we just talked about that I think is definitely going to be obviously a playoff sleeper contender. They got 2 really good transfer QBs, a new first-year head coach who knows how to win, and they're going to have some talent. Let's take a look at the UNLV 2025 schedule with Dan Mullen. Oh, Mullen. Oh, Mullen. All right, so here's what we got. UNLV is going to open up, obviously, with Sam Houston. That's a good G5 matchup if you follow G5 well enough. They got to go to Sam Houston, too, so that'll be interesting. Following week, you've got UCLA coming to town. I talked about this last week on our non-conference games to watch. This is a good chance right here for the G5 to knock off a Power 4 skull if possible. So if I'm UNLV, I'm pouncing on this because UCLA's down a little bit right now. So that should be an interesting game, though. And plus, it's in Vegas. UNLV's gotten better at bringing fans to their games. Plus, sharing a stadium with the Raiders, I think, helps. But anyway, that'll be an interesting one. You got Idaho State, who you should beat. Then you've got the trip to Miami, Ohio, another little G5 clash between Miami, Ohio, and UNLV. That's two solid G5 teams going head to head. Okay. And then it's conference time, guys. Conference opener. I talked about this a little bit ago at Wyoming. Be careful up there in that higher elevation. Air Force at home. The showdown with Boise State October 18th. You've got a bye week, and then you've got. Oh, by the way, I missed their other bye. They have a bye between Miami, and Ohio, and Wyoming. Let's see. Boise on the road, bye week. New Mexico, first-year head coach there, lost their quarterback. I think he went to Utah. But you got New Mexico coming in. You're at Colorado State. You got Utah State. You got Hawaii. And then you close, of course, with arch rival Nevada. This is a very nicely set up schedule for UNLV. If the pieces fall right and the injury bug doesn't hurt these guys, this team right here, no lie, could be an 11-win team and be right there with a shot at Boise again in the title game, maybe. So, and then, of course, you got some games that I don't think are necessarily gimmies. I mean, the trip to Sam Houston, obviously UCLA is a big one. I think they're better than Miami, Ohio. Air Force, you can't look past. Like I said, Boise's going to be tough. Colorado State on the road might be tricky, but I think that there is no reason why this can't be a double-digit win team, in my opinion, under Mullen in his first year. He could come in and make some serious noise in year one out in Vegas. So definitely a very, very manageable schedule there for the Running Rebels. All right, that's our G5 schedule for a team. Now we're going to move to the Power 4. We are going to look at an ACC team that I think is getting a little overlooked. Like I talked about last week when we did Georgia Tech's schedule. This is a team got a really good transfer QB. Their coach works the portal really well. I think they got a chance to make some noise again in the ACC this year, and that is Louisville under Brian Brom. This man has done a great job with this program since he took over. Let's take a look at Louisville's schedule, shall we? All right. You open up with Eastern Kentucky. James Madison. This is a Friday night game, I think now. I think they moved it to the 5th. But anyway, James Madison coming in. Ooh. Don't sleep on that one. I'm just saying. Then you got your first bye week. You got Bowling Green. You got Pitt. You got Virginia. 5-0 is very possible. I think at worst 4-1. The only reason I'm saying that is because Pitt can be a weird place. After Virginia, you got your second bye week. Then you go to Miami. That's going to be obviously a monster game in this conference. You got BC coming in, who's improved. You got to go to Virginia Tech. We know how tough Lane Stadium can be. You got Cal at home. Clemson, obviously, that's a Friday night game too, by the way, November 14th. That is going to be a very, very, very big game in this conference. And then the very next week, you got your conference finale at SMU. That's a huge game, obviously. And then, of course, the arch rival Kentucky at the end of the year. Louisville plays the other three heavy favorites, I think, in this league. I mean, you play Miami, Clemson, and SMU all this year. Ooh. So, James Madison, that's a sneaky one. Don't look past that one. But they've got a good shot to start 5-0. Then, Miami on the road is going to be very tough. BC, I think, could be a toss-up. Virginia Tech's kind of the trap game that you better not overlook. I think they're better than Cal. Clemson at home is a trip to SMU. Who knows? I think they're better than Kentucky, but you have to throw the records out the window on the rivalry games, as we all know. So that's Louisville's schedule. There's a good chance to be a 9-win team or so, but we'll see what happens. So keep an eye on Louisville this coming fall in the ACC. All right, now moving over to a Big 12 team. I don't think they're a playoff contender by any stretch, but the Big 12 could be wide open or it could be top heavy this year. Big 12 is a fun conference. I don't care what the haters say. Anyway, let's take a look at the Baylor Bears. Look at this schedule. A random Friday night game with Auburn. That it hasn't updated for some reason on this picture. I think it still says the 30th, but it's actually August 29th. I do know that because it's already set. So anyway, Auburn coming to town on opening weekend. That's going to be very, very interesting. Then you go to SMU. That's not a cakewalk. Then you got Samford. And then you start Big 12 play. You've got Arizona State coming in, one of the preseason favorites. Got to go to Oklahoma State. How does Mike Gundy's crew bounce back? Got Kansas State at home. That's going to be a big game in the league. Road trips to TCU and Cincinnati. Those will be tricky. UCF coming in. Utah coming in. How does Utah bounce back? Arizona on the road, and then of course you got Baylor at the end. Not Baylor. I'm sorry, Houston at the end of the season. Oh, and I did not mention. I apologize. You got a bye week after the Kansas State game, and you got a bye week after the UCF game. So, very, very interesting conference schedule and non-con schedule. If Baylor comes out slumping, they could be staring 0-2 in the face, and that's because that's two very tricky non-con games. Because especially considering where SMU is now. But Arizona State at home is huge. I think that if they win that game, then we're really going to start talking about Baylor in the Big 12 race this coming season. Oklahoma State is tricky on the road. But think about this. They get Arizona State, Kansas State at home. So that's going to be big. I think this is a good chance to be an 8-win team, but it'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Could they win 8 again? Could they take another step? It'll be an interesting team to keep an eye on this coming fall. All right, guys. So that's it from the Big 12. Now, for our Big 10 schedule to look at this week, we're going to look at Washington, who in their first year in the league kind of took a step back like we all thought, but seemed to have found their quarterback at the end of the year, especially at the bowl game. But I think they're going to be better this year. So let's take a look at the Huskies. Non-con schedule ain't the toughest in the world, but it's, Colorado State at home. Colorado State's at home. They're improved. They're not as bad as they used to be. UC Davis. Bye week. The Apple Cup is at Washington State. Remember last year, Wazoo beat them. Of course, they had John Mateer at QB and a lot of good players. Washington State was a lot better last year. Who knows what they're going to be like this year, but I think Washington's looking at 3-0 more than likely, maybe. But look at that Big Ten opener. You got Ohio State coming into town September 27th, coming to Seattle to the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Husky Stadium, very tough place to play at. Keep an eye on that one, but we'll see. Okay. You're at Maryland. You got Rutgers at home. A couple of games that you can definitely win. Michigan on the road. That's going to be tricky, obviously, big time. I think Michigan's going to be better. You got Illinois coming in on the 25th. Illinois is a sleeper team, dark horse playoff team. That's going to be a big game, I think. And that's going to be one that's going to test Illinois, too, obviously. We'll see what happens there. You got a bye week. Then you're at Wisconsin. I think the Badgers have got still got some work to do. Then you got Purdue at home, at UCLA. And then, of course, you got your arch nemesis, Oregon, coming in on November 29th. What were they last year? I think they were 6-7 or 7-6. Yeah, I think that's right. 6-7. But this is a very favorable schedule. I like their non-con schedule. I think they've got a very, very good potential here to stare at 8 wins, maybe 9 wins. 9 might be a stretch, but this is a chance to take a step forward and get to the 8-win plateau for the Huskies. But I like this schedule for them. Just try to get through that Ohio State game as healthy as you can. But who knows? Maybe Ohio State gets caught catwalking because Husky Stadium's a tough place to play at. All right, guys. Our final schedule we're going to look at as far as college, because we still got the AFC East coming. We're going to do a little pro ball talk here in a minute. In the SEC, my SEC schedule. Let's take a look at the LSU Tigers. This is I'm going to go ahead and spill a little beans here. This is my dark horse SEC title contender, and I think this team has a chance to win a national championship. I know that sounds crazy, but I would not be shocked if this team, with what they've got this coming fall, could win the national title. I like LSU. All right, so you open up with the monster non-con game at Clemson, which is the real Death Valley. I'm always going to say Baton Rouge, but anyway, you got to go to Clemson. You've got Louisiana Tech at home. SEC opener is Florida. That's crazy. I'm so used to them playing Florida late in the season, but if you grew up watching SEC football, LSU Florida is always fun. Cannot wait for that game. You've got Southeast Louisiana on the 20th. Trip to Ole Miss on the 27th. That's a big game. Oxford's a tough place. LSU's going to have their hands full, I think, there, but we'll see. That's going to be a tough road game. You got South Carolina coming in on the 2 weeks later after a bye week. Those who remember last year, South Carolina LSU had a dandy in Columbia, but with some questionable officiating. But you get my point. After that, they have Vandy coming in. Remember, we always used to laugh at Vandy. Vandy's better. Then you've got to go to, you got A&M at home. Hopefully I've been reading this backwards. Yeah, because Ole Miss is on the road. I'm sorry. You got A&M at home. Got to go to Tuscaloosa. As we know, that's not going to be easy. 2 weeks later. You got Arkansas at home. Western Kentucky at home. And then, of course, you close at Oklahoma. Anyone else think it's still weird seeing LSU and Oklahoma at the end of the year? Or am I by myself? I think it's very strange. But anyway, so Clemson, obviously huge game. If LSU wins that game, I think you're really going to see them shoot up as far as the talk and favorites as far as a playoff team and a national title contender. But tricky game. Florida's obviously going to be big. Ole Miss is going to be tough. Ole Miss, that stretch right there, that 5-week stretch, Ole Miss on the road, South Carolina at home, at Vandy, A&M at home, and then at Bama. That is a very, very brutal 5-game stretch right there. But it's very manageable, so keep your eye on LSU this fall. Like I said, I think this is a team that's going to be a force this year. Would not be shocked if they're in the national championship discussion. Definitely a playoff contender. All right, guys, going to take one more quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about, I got the AFC East schedule breakdown for all 4 of those teams. We did the NFC East on Wednesday, so we're going to do the AFC East here in just a minute. So we'll take a quick break. Be right back.
Look at me, I'm lost at sea, circling eternally. Come and help me from this insanity. Where am I disgrace? I hate to see your face. I wanna see you drown in your sorrow. You know I'm not the same. I'm fading away. I'm falling into my grave.
Alright, guys. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Alright, so on our next segment, we're going to take a look at 4 NFL schedules. Wednesday, on our Wednesday show, we did the NFC East, Dallas, New York, Washington, and Philly. So for today, I decided let's take a look at the AFC East, shall we? So I'm going to start with these boys. I'm going to take a look at the Patriots, who I thought had a really good draft. I think they worked on the offensive line well. Drake May, I thought, was a phenomenal rookie. I think the Patriots are set at QB. Obviously, new coach Mike Vrabel. Excited to see what he does. He's obviously a former New England Patriot himself. All right, sorry about that. Had a little earplug issue. All right, so here's the Patriots schedule. They open up with the Raiders at home, very winnable. Who knows? At Miami, first divisional game. Pittsburgh, Carolina. So that's your first month. Who knows? Very manageable first month of the season. But then 3 straight road games. At Buffalo, we know that's going to be tough. At New Orleans, who knows? New Orleans is gonna. Who knows what New Orleans is going to be like? At Tennessee, obviously they're down a little bit right now. Then you've got Cleveland at home, Atlanta at home, at Tampa. That's not going to be easy. The 13th, I think that is a Thursday night game. You got the Jets at home. That's winnable. At Cincinnati, I think they won there last year. You got the Giants coming in. You got the 13 days later after your bye week. You got the Bills coming in. At Baltimore, at New York, it's the Jets, and then of course the Dolphins the final week of the season. Who knows where we'll be by then. I think the Patriots have the potential to take a step forward in the win-loss category. I don't think they're a playoff contender yet, but you got a very manageable first month. I don't think they're 4-0, but 3-1 is very doable if things fall their way. But who knows? I mean, they could start hot the first 8 games, but this is a somewhat manageable schedule. But don't get me wrong, the trip to Miami is going to be tough. Who knows what the Steelers are going to be like? Buffalo, Atlanta, and Tampa are going to be very difficult games. Cincinnati, of course, Buffalo. I don't think they're good. I don't think they win at Baltimore. But yeah, that's the New England Patriots schedule. Keep an eye on them. We'll see how they look. All right, moving on. Next up, we're going to look at the Jets, who have a new QB of two. Justin Fields is the man now in New York. As you know, Aaron Rodgers is with another team that we'll talk about maybe next week. Here is the New York Jets schedule for 2025. You open up with the Steelers at home, then you got the Bills at home. So your first 2 are at home, and then you've got trips to Tampa Bay, and then you've got a Monday night trip to Miami, and then you got Dallas and Denver at home. Whew. So you're playing 1, 2. You're playing 4 playoff teams in the first 6 games. Good luck with that. Then you got Carolina at home. That's winnable. At Cincinnati, that's going to be very difficult. You've got Cleveland at home. At New England, at Baltimore, Atlanta at home, Miami at home, Jacksonville and New Orleans are on the road. New England at home, and then you close with Buffalo, and I think, yeah, that's away. The Jets got a pretty tough schedule, in my opinion. Maybe they can get to 7 wins, but I don't think this is a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination right now, but they got some difficult games, and how ironic, Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers, and the Steelers play the Jets week 1. That's going to be interesting. We'll see if Rodgers can stay healthy, which he did last season to his credit. But yeah, that first month is pretty good. First 6 games though is really the highlighter. It's good. They need a good start, and it's going to be difficult. Playing Pittsburgh, playing Buffalo, Tampa, Dallas, Denver, Cincinnati's on there, Baltimore, Atlanta. Yeah, very interesting, tricky schedule. But this is what the Jets are looking like for their schedule. But who knows? I don't think they're a playoff team, but maybe they improve to that 7-8 win plateau. All right. So next up, let's head south, shall we? Let's look at the Miami Dolphins. All right. So the Dolphins open up. You've got a trip to Indy. Is it Daniel Jones' team, I'm assuming? You got to go to Indy. You've got New England coming in. You got Buffalo. You got the Jets at home. You got to go to Carolina. You got the Chargers at home. That's going to be difficult. You got to go to Cleveland, Atlanta. back-to-back weeks. and then and then how about this before your bye week? They're all at home, but you got Baltimore, Buffalo, and Washington. All three really good playoff Super Bowl contending teams. Ouch. Good luck with that. Then you got New Orleans at home. Got to go to New York again to play the Jets. Got to go to Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Tampa. That's not going to be easy. And then, of course, you close at New England. Um, there's some winnable games, and then there's some very brutal stretches here for the Dolphins. Like I said, that 3-week stretch there of Baltimore, Buffalo, and Washington. Yikes. And the trip to Atlanta's not going to be easy either, so that's a pretty tough month right there for you. But we'll see what the Dolphins look like this fall. But this is their schedule for the Miami Dolphins. Okay, our final NFL schedule. Let's take a look at the team that is obviously going to be the favorite in this division. But if they see the Chiefs in the playoffs, they'll find a way to lose again. The Buffalo Bills. And here's what the Bills have. Big opener. You got the Ravens coming in on week 1. That is a huge game. Cannot wait to see that game. You got to go to the Jets. You got Dolphins at home, Saints at home, Patriots at home. 3 very winnable games that they probably should win. Trip to Atlanta. It's a Monday night game. We'll see. You got your bye week. You got Carolina on the road. Should win. You got the Chiefs at home, obviously. Chiefs Bills, that's going to be huge as always. Then you got to go to Miami. Tampa's at home. That's an interesting one. Got to go to Houston. That's going to be a tricky one. Steelers on the road. Bengals at home, obviously. Burrow versus Allen. Come on, man. If they're healthy, that'll be great. Trip to New England. Trip to Cleveland. You got the Eagles at home the next to last week of the season. The Super Bowl I thought we were going to get last year, but I should have known better. And then, of course, they close with the Jets at home. To be one of the better teams, they got some very manageable stretches here, especially early in the season. Especially that 5-week stretch after Baltimore before your bye week. But you got Baltimore on there, you got Kansas City on there, you got Tampa, Houston, Cincinnati, Philly. There's some tough ones, but there's some manageable stretches. No reason why this ain't a double-digit win team again, as long as they stay healthy and keep it together. But this is definitely, until further notice, the cream of the crop in the AFC East, in my humble opinion. All right, guys. So let's get ready. We're going to close this show with our non-football segment. So for this week, I decided to do my top 5 pies. Now, if you're not a pie guy, then you're probably going to get bored by this segment. But I'm a pie guy. I love desserts. I overdo them a little too much, as you can probably tell. But I picked my top 5 favorite pies. So, to get us started, at number 5, good old pumpkin pie. I don't know if you like pumpkin pie, cool. If you don't, that's okay. This has always been a good dessert. It gives me that good old fall feeling. Of course, a Thanksgiving staple, Christmas staple. But it's really good. I've always liked pumpkin pie. Okay, number 4, lemon icebox pie. There was a restaurant here in my hometown years ago called the Crystal Grill, and they were famous for their lemon icebox pies. I kid you not, they were so famous, Food Network actually came here and talked to them and did like a little special on it or something. But very sweet, really good, always very delicious when done right. Alright, number 3. It's going to look very similar to number 5, but number 3, sweet potato pie. Another good old southern staple. Sweet potato pies are absolutely incredible when they're done right. Crushed pecans on top is always a good thing to add to it. But man, it's such good texture. Never thought potato in a pie would work, but it actually did. First time I tried it, and I was hooked ever since. I love sweet potato pie. Number 2, a coastal dessert, but for a guy like me who really doesn't care for the beach and hot weather, even though I have to deal with it, Number 2, key lime. I love me some key lime pie. This is so good, so sweet. I love the graham cracker crust that you can get in these things. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she used to make these, and she made me one for Thanksgiving one year. I'll never forget it. It's so freaking good, guys. So freaking good. Uh-oh. Sweet potato better than pumpkin. Yep, that's right, babe. That's why sweet potato's number 3 and pumpkin was number 5. Okay, but key lime pie comes in at number 2. I love this dessert. My grandmother, like I said, made these really good for me, and it's awesome. I love this pie. So good. You take a bite of it, I feel like I'm at the beach. Like I say, I'm not a super big beach guy, but it's a good dessert. All right, so finally, our number 1 pie, my favorite pie. And again, my grandmother, she made these for me long before the key lime pie, but every year at Thanksgiving, I look forward to this more than I did the food. Anyway, my number 1 pie, pecan, whether you call it pecan, like a chicken, whatever you prefer to call it, that is your choice. But I love pecan pie. My grandmother made these with some kind of slight sweet bourbony glaze inside of them. I love these things. I love pecan pie. I'm getting hungry now. I want to buy one, so I better hush. But that's my number 1 pie. I always love pecan pie the most. And like I said, I miss my grandmother so much. I miss her pies too. Alright, guys. So, real quick, I'm going to do it one more time for you just for fun. Number 5 is pumpkin pie. Number 4, lemon icebox. Number 3, sweet potato. Number 2, the key lime pie. And then, of course, like I just mentioned, my favorite pie, pecan. Pecan pie, or pecan, however you like to say it. Oh, man. All right, guys, so this has been a fun show. I appreciate y'all checking in. I went on longer than what I normally do, but that's okay. That's part of it. So, just a little heads up. We are 63 days away from the college football season, guys. 63 days, 9 Saturdays away from week 0 with those games. Cannot wait to get to week 0 for the K-State Iowa State game. All right. The show, of course, when the season gets here, I will not do this show on Saturdays. I'm not going to be out here talking while there's a bunch of football on. We'll have to move the show probably to Wednesdays. That's probably going to be the new date, but we'll let you know when we get closer to the time. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching, for listening to me blabber my mouth. As always, I'm going to close with the Bible verse. With everything that's going on in the world, I think we really need to be praying. We need to pray for everybody, and think long and hard because there's a lot of events going on. All right. In close, Psalm 77, verse 11 and 12. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of thy things. Alrighty, guys. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all listening to me. Thank y'all. I will see y'all next week. Next week we will do probably the AFC North schedules, and we will jump into a couple more schools. I'll let you know what schools next week sometime. Check me out on my group, The Spread, on Facebook. We are a college football discussion group. We basically just talk. We have good conversations about the sport. We just kind of hang out and just get a little place to share your thoughts. And I got a couple comments. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, and we pray for Trump. He has a lot on his shoulders. Yes, he does. The president sure does. Amen. Absolutely, baby. All right. So, with that said, I'm going to get out of here, and I will see y'all next week. Also, we will jump into, we're going to do Big 12 conference games, ACC conference games to watch. We'll probably do Notre Dame's schedule. I tell you what, there's only 2 independents, so what we'll do next week, we'll do Big 12 conference games, ACC conference games. And then we'll do Notre Dame and UConn, the two independents. And then we'll do the AFC North. And then if there's any breaking news that we want to talk about, we'll do that also. Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. And God bless you.
You look at me, you got nothing left to say. I'm only bound at you until I